Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary musician and Black Sabbath founder, died on July 26, 2025, at the age of 76. In addition to being a major shock to fans everywhere, his passing left the Osbourne family, especially his daughter Kelly, with a number of unresolved questions. The public was even more shocked by the untold mysteries behind Ozzy's life and demise. In a shocking turn of events, 40-year-old Kelly Osbourne chose to publicly address the suspicions surrounding her father's untimely death. With the fortitude and resoluteness of a daughter, Kelly revealed shocking information that illuminated the less pleasant facets of the family's existence. Unresolved disputes, tough choices made by the family, and inquiries about Ozzy's cause of death caused a media frenzy. Will the whole truth of this legend's demise come to light? Or will it always be a riddle that cannot be solved? One is an acrimonious relationship. Even though it lasted for many years, Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne's relationship was incredibly complicated. Their relationship encountered many major obstacles during Ozzy's family life and music career. Ozzy and Sharon were inseparable from the beginning of his music career, conquering every obstacle together. But like many families, problems started to surface after years of being together, particularly as Ozzy dealt with severe spinal injuries and Parkinson's disease. As a wife, carer, and manager, Sharon faced tremendous pressure to manage her husband's deteriorating health. The main sources of contention in the Osbourne family were disagreements about money, inheritance, and medical treatment. Despite being the family's rock during Ozzy's illness, Sharon's dominance over the family's finances and crucial choices pertaining to Ozzy's estate caused serious arguments between them. The family found the financial matters, especially the authority over Ozzy's assets, to be delicate. Disagreements over asset management surfaced despite Ozzy's prosperous and successful profession, particularly as his health deteriorated and he lost the ability to make decisions for himself. Although Sharon had to assume this duty as the primary manager of the family's money, Ozzy occasionally felt unduly controlled. Since Ozzy was no longer able to make decisions for himself, their fights over inheritance and money grew more heated. These arguments led to a schism among the Osbourne family in addition to straining their marriage. One of the main causes of the family's disputes was Ozzy's health. His capacity to take care of himself was compromised by long-standing medical conditions, especially Parkinson's disease, making him susceptible to fury and defenseless. The relationship between Ozzy and Sharon became even more strained as a result of this, as well as emotional and physical suffering. In addition to taking care of her husband, Sharon had to make critical medical decisions, such as selecting treatment modalities and determining whether to continue therapy or transition to palliative care. However, their disagreement over these choices exacerbated their strife. Despite the Osbourne family's reputation for harmony, tensions were bound to surface because of Sharon's dominance over the family's money and the arguments over the bequest. Conflict in the family was depicted via public arguments resulting from disagreements over inheritance and money management. She was attacked for having monopolistic control over the family's wealth, even though she had always been the family's defender and tried her hardest to ensure Ozzy's well-being. Despite the fact that they were still in love, these disputes made the Osbourne family uneasy, particularly as Ozzy approached his death. The disagreements centered on how the Osbourne family handled Ozzy's medical conditions in addition to money. It was never easy to care for someone who was really sick, especially a music legend like Ozzy. Tension amongst the Osbourne family members appeared unavoidable, even though Kelly, Ozzy's daughter, was always there to support the family's internal arguments about how to handle financial and medical concerns. When Ozzy's condition had gotten so bad that there was no chance of recuperation, family disputes weren't only a personal issue. They also affected Ozzy's ultimate choices regarding his manner of death, putting his loved ones in a terrible position. In summary, there were many highs and lows in Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne's relationship, ranging from intense love to inevitable arguments. The Osbourne family's situation was complicated by health, money, and inheritance concerns. In addition to being common disputes, these tensions played a crucial role in Ozzy's latter years, combining love with the difficulties of family life. The second is the mystery surrounding Ozzy's death. In addition to leaving millions of fans and the rock music community grieving, Ozzy Osbourne's death on July 22 2025, left the Osbourne family with a number of unanswered concerns. Ozzy had a number of severe medical conditions in his last days, including Parkinson's disease, spine injuries, and troubles with his central nervous system. Nonetheless, the public's interest is still piqued by the unspoken details and suspicions surrounding his passing. Although Ozzy's health declined in his later years, there were other factors at play when he passed away. They also included unanticipated speculations and rumors. Some individuals thought that Ozzy's death might not have been solely caused by illness, but rather by other family concerns, especially disagreements about Ozzy's estate and financial conflicts. There was tension surrounding his death because of Sharon's handling and interactions with family members. Even though Ozzy died of Parkinson's disease and other serious health issues, the rumors surrounding his passing were equally captivating. Notably, there were claims that family members may have contributed to his demise, especially Sharon's role in managing his estate and making decisions about his care in his last days. Even though his death was initially kept a secret, the Osbourne family's silence following his demise only served to increase suspicion. The public's interest was heightened by the Osbourne family's decision to keep quiet for a long time following Ozzy's passing. After the Osbourne family did not issue an official statement, rumors about tense ties within the family, particularly between Ozzy and Sharon, started to circulate. The world didn't start to learn about the Osbourne family's secret conflicts or the important choices they made in Ozzy's last days until Kelly Osbourne, her daughter, made the decision to speak out. Kelly Osbourne took over as the family's official spokesman following the passing of her father. She had to preserve her father's reputation in the public eye in addition to dealing with the tremendous loss. One of Kelly's first moves was to file a lawsuit to prevent false information about her father from spreading, particularly through media sites that were fabricating statements utilizing Ozzy's voice synthesis technology. This was obviously an attempt to preserve Ozzy's dignity and respect in his last days. Kelly did more than simply deny untrue information. Some of the family's unspoken secrets were also shared by her. She revealed that in his last days, Ozzy had requested that his family not allow anybody else to change how he passed away. In response to this request, Kelly made the decision to openly discuss some of the family's problems, especially the disputes about Ozzy's medical treatment and the strains amongst relatives. Kelly underlined that the material was disclosed to safeguard Ozzy's life choices and his last days, not to hurt the family, even though she chose to divulge some of the facts. The choice made by Kelly Osbourne, taking complete control of the public information about her father, was a crucial step in preserving the privacy and dignity of the family. Proactively handled all public material, including press releases and interviews, in Ozzy's last days. Before being made public, all information had to be authorized by Kelly, and any unapproved material was promptly thrown out. Kelly also made crucial choices about safeguarding the family's interests and allocating assets. Although the Osbourne family's discussions on Ozzy's inheritance rights and estate division were not made public, it was obvious that Kelly was involved and approved of these choices. Public skepticism regarding the family's ties and the influence of money on Ozzy's ultimate choice was sparked by the allegations that Sharon meddled in financial decisions throughout his sickness, especially when it came to managing his assets. After Ozzy's death, Kelly Osbourne, who had long kept details about her father private, made the decision to come out and reveal some of the facts surrounding his untimely demise. Kelly felt obligated to correct the false information and preserve her father's image, which was one of the primary reasons she chose to come clean. Kelly revealed in interviews following her father's passing that Ozzy always wanted the truth about what transpired in the family to be known. Consequently, even though it was difficult for her, she believed that the timing was appropriate to reveal some of the truth. In addition to dispelling suspicions, Kelly's choice to make the real truth about her father's passing public served as a means of fulfilling Ozzy's last demands, which were expressed in letters to the family. Despite not being completely disclosed to the public, these letters included a number of significant messages regarding Ozzy's family relationships and the challenging choices he had to make in his last few months. Kelly's choice to disclose this portion of the truth exposed hitherto undiscovered facets of Ozzy Osbourne's life and demise. The third is the untold tale. In addition to being extremely personal, Ozzy Osbourne's last letters included significant information about his family and the tough choices he had to make. In an attempt to preserve her father's legacy, Kelly Osbourne chose to make portions of these letters public, exposing previously unknown facts. A whole other side of Ozzy, a guy full of love, introspection, and worry for his life and inevitable demise, is revealed in these letters to each member of the family. Ozzy wrote a number of letters to his family in the closing months of his life, sharing his deepest reflections on life-family ties and the choices he had to make. Ozzy wrote these letters to Sharon Kelly and other family members, expressing his unending love for them. The letters did, however, also disclose his worries around unsolved family disputes and unclear financial matters. The letter that Ozzy wrote to Kelly was among the most significant. In that document, he asked her to be honest about what actually happened and to prevent anyone from changing how his life ended. This was more than just a father asking for his honor to be preserved. It was also a crucial final will and testament, guaranteeing that the family's realities would be acknowledged and not misrepresented. Kelly Osbourne's choice to openly discuss the facts of her father's passing and the internal strife the family had experienced was motivated by this message. Although Ozzy was always aware that death was imminent, he wanted his passing to be properly recognized and unaffected by outside influences. Ozzy had resisted criticism and misinterpretation all of his life, and he wanted the truth about him to be known after his passing. Ozzy left these letters not only as a familial legacy, but also as a means of preserving his reputation in the public eye. These letters demonstrated that Ozzy was not only a household name in music, but also a husband and father who cared about maintaining family harmony. In a specific letter to Sharon Ozzy, the author expressed sorrow for previous disagreements, particularly those pertaining to money and inheritance. Although he acknowledged that the family had experienced a great deal of stress as a result of their choices, he also advised Sharon to continue to keep the family together and to show love and affection for the rest of their lives. Kelly claims that these letters gave her a better grasp of her father's mental health, the secrets he had concealed, and the difficulties he had faced. In addition to expressing his last wishes to his family, Ozzy hoped that the secret tales of the Osbourne family would be revealed when he penned these letters. Under the surface of a well-known rock star, Ozzy was a husband and father who had concerns, particularly in his later years. A highly tense family dynamic resulted from his complex relationship with Sharon, the disputes over money and succession, and the challenging medical choices these concerns brought about. These disputes went beyond the struggle for resources. They also included Ozzy's internal conflict as he struggled with severe health problems and his incapacity to make his own judgments. His main worries were that his possessions would be misused and that his last desires would not be honored. The family learned the value of honesty and respect among the family, particularly in his last moments, from the writings he left behind, which also helped them understand his ultimate wishes. In addition to preserving his freedom and self-respect, Ozzy left these letters in the hopes that his family would have a greater understanding of what he had endured. These letters served as more than simply farewells. They served as a reminder of how crucial it is to maintain love within the family in spite of all disputes and arguments. As the family's representative, Kelly Osbourne decided to make some of these letters public. She realized that Ozzy deserved to be completely and honestly acknowledged, and that her father's passing was not only a personal sorrow, but also an important chapter in music history. However, these heartfelt and regretful letters are a part of the legacy Ozzy left for his family and the world. They demonstrate the authenticity and significance of family to Ozzy, a legendary musician who devoted his life to fighting and making a difference while never losing sight of the important things in life. These letters demonstrate that despite his fame as a rock musician, Ozzy was a devoted spouse and father who cared about his loved ones. Future generations will have a better knowledge of a legend who led a colorful and turbulent existence, as the truth about the Osbourne family's life and the difficulties they encountered is now coming to light. Death during Ozzy Osbourne's last months. The family kept information, treatment, and the medical care process extremely strictly under wraps. The choice of treatment options became extremely difficult for the family as Ozzy's health declined dramatically in his final days. This was especially true for Kelly Osbourne, Ozzy's only daughter, who assumed the vital responsibility of looking out for and defending her father's interests. There were mental, familial, and legal factors to take into account when providing medical care for someone as profoundly ill as Ozzy. Ozzy's health steadily deteriorated when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Memory loss, reduced movement, and tremors were all common signs of the illness. Ozzy had Parkinson's disease, but he also had a lot of other problems, such as degradation of the neurological system and serious injuries from previous accidents. His capacity to regulate his body was severely affected by Parkinson's disease, which prevented him from standing or walking without medical help. During the last phases, Ozzy was moved to home care while being watched over by a group of nurses and specialists. This choice was taken to reduce the stress that hospital treatment would bring on in addition to ensuring his comfort in a familiar setting. The Osbourne family came to this choice together, with Kelly spearheading the decision to provide her father with palliative care. The family started thinking about palliative care as Ozzy's condition deteriorated. Therapies that try to lessen pain without trying to treat the illness. The Osbourne family didn't want to see Ozzy suffer, but they also didn't want to give up hope, so this decision was extremely difficult. After specialists told them that no more medicines could impede the disease's course, they made the switch to palliative care. The Osbourne family's decision was mostly influenced by Ozzy's irreparable health decline. His vital signs had fallen to the point where there was little chance of recovery, and that he would only get worse if active therapies were continued. All family members agreed on this choice, and Kelly was in charge of making sure that all medical decisions were followed in compliance with Ozzy's family's great emotional support, particularly from Sharon and Kelly, was a major influence in giving him serenity in his last days. Even though their relationship hadn't always been easy in the last years, Sharon was there for Ozzy, helping and supporting him, especially when he was in terrible pain. Kelly Osbourne never left her father's side, even though it was difficult to watch him deteriorate. She assumed the main responsibility for overseeing everything, including family and public affairs as well as therapy procedures. In order to coordinate with physicians and keep an eye on Ozzy's health, Kelly was essential. She also made the decision that details regarding her father's illness would be tightly monitored to prevent any false information or privacy violations from being shared. This preserved Ozzy's dignity during the course of his treatment and helped the Osbourne family keep the peace during his last few months. When Ozzy's health had gotten so bad that there was no chance of recovery, Kelly Osbourne had to make some extremely tough choices about her father's passing. When doctors told her that there were no more treatments available, she had to make one of the most devastating decisions of her life, to cease receiving medical care. At this point, Kelly felt compelled to respect her father's wishes and allow him to pass away quietly and painlessly. Kelly revealed that she had never made a choice as agonizing as this one. When she decided to stop the treatment that her father no longer wanted to receive, she had to deal with a great deal of emotional turmoil. But in the end, Kelly realized that the most crucial thing was to preserve Ozzy's dignity and mental well-being. Additionally, she made every effort to guarantee her father's quiet death. One of the main questions that the public brought up was whether Ozzy's death was caused by the Osbourne family's excessive meddling in his medical decisions. The public was outraged by claims that Sharon and Kelly went too far in their financial and medical choices, particularly since the Osbourne family had long kept quiet about Ozzy's health. Kelly was merely expressing Ozzy's last desires, though, since it became evident from her remarks that all decisions had been taken with his approval. Complex issues surround Ozzy's last month's medical choices and the family's involvement in the course of therapy. Nonetheless, it can be said that when the Osbourne family, especially Kelly, made the decision to stop active treatment and transition to palliative care, they did so in a most humane manner and with respect for Ozzy's rights. 5. The response of the family and the public. In addition to shocking the music industry, Ozzy Osbourne's passing garnered significant public and international media attention. In addition to the loss of a music icon, Kelly Osbourne's choice to confirm the rumors surrounding her father's passing brought attention to the Osbourne family's long-hidden family dynamics, which they had attempted to conceal for years. The mysterious and contentious family life of Ozzy and Sharon has long been a popular subject. However, following Ozzy's passing, this story grew even more convoluted when family strife rumors surfaced, particularly as a result of Kelly and other family members' reactions. Following the confirmation of Ozzy's passing, friends and co-workers in the music business shared their condolences and anecdotes about him. In addition to praising Ozzy's skill, musicians who had worked with him throughout his career, from Black Sabbath to his renowned solo albums, also honored him for his commitment to and love of music. Performers like Rob Zombie and Tony Iommi, who was a member of Black Sabbath, talked about how much Ozzy has influenced their careers. One of the most often told tales was that Ozzy was a dependable and devoted buddy in addition to being a well-known celebrity. The music industry understood the dismay when family disputes were made public, particularly when Ozzy's reputation may have been impacted. This further demonstrated Kelly Osbourne's protective demeanor when taking care of her father. In addition to being a devoted daughter, she was the one who defended her father's honor and interests throughout his last months. Kelly battled Ozzy's illness as well as the false information and rumors propagated by the media. When people and groups utilized speech synthesis technology to fabricate statements from Ozzy after his death, she filed legal action to preserve his reputation because she was worried about the impact that false information could have on his family and reputation. Following Ozzy's passing, the Osbourne family had to deal with invasive media coverage, claims of spousal abuse, and financial disputes. Sharon Jack and Kelly responded to the public's inquiries in different ways. As Ozzy's wife, Sharon made it known that the family had taken all reasonable steps to ensure Ozzy's peaceful passing and to honor his last desires. She highlighted that Ozzy's consent and preferences were taken into consideration before making any medical decisions. However, the Osbourne family experienced severe upheaval as a result of the financial claims and disputes around the inheritance. Rumor had it that Sharon had altered Ozzy's will without his permission and had mismanaged his estate. All of these charges were refuted by Sharon, who maintained that financial choices were made with the family's best interests in mind, and that no private interests were at play. Public interest in the true dynamics of the Osbourne family was heightened by Kelly's disclosures of the family disputes in Ozzy's latter years. For Kelly, Ozzy's passing marked the end of a chapter in her life in addition to the loss of a father. She revealed how agonizing it was to deal with her father's passing. However, it also provided her with the chance to make the ultimate choices to safeguard the foundation Ozzy had established over his career. Kelly acknowledged that, despite the fact that it was difficult, particularly in light of gossip and family conflicts, she did everything within her power to guarantee Ozzy had a quiet and honorable passing. She added that she had to make a lot of tough choices in her last days with her father, such as deciding on palliative care alternatives and making sure that information regarding his condition wouldn't be misused. This demonstrates that Kelly Osbourne was more than just a normal daughter. She was the one who defended Ozzy's reputation and legacy, doing everything in her power to ensure that he passed away with dignity and his family's love. Lastly, the Osbourne family was subjected to a number of public inquiries concerning how well they had responded to the claims of domestic abuse, family strife, and financial irregularities. The public was outraged by claims that Ozzy was compelled to cease his therapy, that he was the victim of financial trickery, and that he had lost his inheritance rights. But the Osbournes remained steadfast and refuted all of these claims, affirming that all financial and medical decisions were made with Ozzy and the family's best interests, free from any personal motivations. The public will continue to be interested in questions regarding the inheritance, the estate, and the relationship between Sharon and Ozzy. But one thing is obvious. Kelly Osbourne was adamant about preserving her father's reputation and legacy so that Ozzy would be recognized for his tremendous talent and illustrious career. Ozzy Osbourne's passing will always be a contentious topic, but it also serves as a powerful lesson in resiliency when facing mortality and the tough choices a family must make in order to preserve the honor of a musical icon.